Well, can you believe it? August is winding down and we are soon into September, which is the end of summer and the beginning of fall. And it's a change of seasons. And a lot of people are wondering, what does a change of seasons mean for the Silicon Valley real estate market? And that's a very good question. I'm always talking to people about selling their houses and when is the best time to sell their house. And now that with a change into the fall market, I think it's a good time to make a video about that and talk about seasonality and when is a good time or maybe the best time or the worst time to list your home for sale in the Silicon Valley area. Have found myself like giving this exact same discussion to quite a few people lately, so I'm just going to put it here in this video because if people are asking me, maybe it's a question that you have yourself. So here is how it works in terms of figuring out when is the best time to list your home in Silicon Valley or the Bay Area for sale. Every year, we start off on January 1st with literally the fewest number of homes for sale than on any other day of the year. Now, have I fact checked that? No, I have not. But what happens is that many listing agreements expire on December 31st. Like if you sign a listing agreement in like July or August or September, you're probably going to have it expire on the 31st of December, thinking that, well, either the house will have sold by then or I'll just give up and try it again some other time. So actually, a lot of homes that are on the market actually go off market on December 31st, and that's why I believe that on January 1st we have the lowest available amount of inventory every single year. So that's good if you're looking to sell your house, right? You want to be selling when there is not a lot of competition, but you also want to be selling at a time when there are actually buyers out there looking. So are there any buyers looking on January 1st? Well, probably there are some, but not too many. A lot of them are still like nursing a hangover, or maybe they're still on vacation or whatever. January 1st might not be like a really great day to hit the market, even though it's the lowest inventory of the year, because probably not too many people actually going to be looking to go see a house on January 1st. I tell my clients that really the spring market gets started in the Bay Area right around January 15th, which is still, of course, in the dead of winter. But I think that is when the spring market gets started because what happens by about the middle of January is that you have buyers coming back into the market. So these are buyers, they maybe were looking in the spring, maybe they were looking in the summer, maybe they took off their house search for the holidays, right? Because they were busy dealing with like, family and friends and like, events and all that stuff. So they weren't really looking, in November and December, but now it's January and they're back in the hunt, right? So around the middle of January, you see a lot of buyers come into the market, but you don't see a lot of houses come into the market in the early part of January. So what happens? All of a sudden, you have a lot more buyers out there than there are homes for sale. And what does that create? It creates an imbalance in supply and demand, right? So you have a really a big, strong uptick in demand without a corresponding uptick in supply. So the market heats up really fast in the beginning part of January. Now, as we get into February and March, what happens is that we do have more buyers coming into the market in February and March, right? A lot of people say like after Super Bowl Sunday, that's the time to list because Super Bowl Sunday is like early February, right? So like that's a great time to list your house. And that is a great time to list your house. A lot of it, frankly, is weather dependent, right? I seem to notice that in years where it's like raining cats and dogs in the Bay Area in January, February, or March, a lot of people might not want to list their house or even go looking for houses if the weather is really bad. So it kind of depends. And some years when it's really dry in January and warm, which is fairly common, increasingly common perhaps, that might actually be a time where, a lot more buyers come onto the market and a lot more inventory comes onto the market. So every year it does differ somewhat, but the pattern is repeatable usually, and that is that, more buyers come into the market in the early part of spring than houses come onto the market. But every month in well, maybe not in January so much, but in February and March and April and May, more houses come onto the market than are sold, right? So maybe for every 5 houses that get listed in those months, maybe only 4 will sell, right? So like that means that every month, because a listing agreement typically is like maybe 3 months or 6 months or 9 or 12 months, right? More houses come on than are sold. So that means that inventory grows. Inventory grows throughout the spring, right? So like there should be more houses for sale in March than there were in February and more in April than there were in March. At the same time, the number of buyers that come into the market does not really start increasing. It stops increasing past about April or so, like basically January, February, March, April. All those spring buyers, they have will made their appearance by like say the beginning or middle part of April, and you're not going to see more buyers coming into the market, that late in the spring. But what you are going to see is you are going to see more houses still coming onto the market because sellers think they want to sell during the spring season, but they don't really realize that really it's the early spring that is, generally speaking, a much better time to put your home on the market. So, what is the highest price month in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley? It is usually May or June, right? I mean, like more than any other month, it's May or June, which has the highest prices recorded in the year. But remember that these sales, which are recorded in May or June, they went onto the market really in March or April or May. Right. So like maybe they went on middle of March and where they were on the market for 2 weeks before they accepted an offer. So they took an offer on April 1st. That takes 30 days to close. And so it closes on May 1st. So it's a recorded sale on May 1st, but really it came onto the market in the middle of March. And so what you're seeing, these high prices in May and June, it's really because those homes came on the market 30 to 60 days prior. So just bear that in mind. If you want to like catch like the best part of the spring market, you want to come on earlier than maybe you were thinking. And so I tell people like March 15th, right? Like if I didn't know anything about what's going on with the economy or politics or like climate disasters or anything, I would pick March 15th out of any generic year. Like that is the optimal day for me to list a home for sale in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area. A lot of people, though, they'll put their homes up for sale in May because they think, oh, well, like, like the garden looks really great, right? Like it works for me timing wise because I want to like move over the summer. So I'll put my house up for sale in May and then I can sell it, have it closed during the summer and make the move and be somewhere else by the fall. But unfortunately, you are kind of like late to the party because what happens is that buyers start checking out of the market, certainly in June, because school gets out and then a lot of people start going on vacation. And who goes on vacation? Well, people who are somewhat affluent. And who are buying houses? People who are somewhat affluent are the people who are buying houses. So it's just those people who you want to sell your house to. They are the ones who are going away on vacation. And maybe they spend 2 or 3 or 4 weeks on vacation, some of these people. But it's just enough people of the prime, like home buying class of people who come out of the market in that summertime period that it really puts a slack in the market, right? Even 10 or 20% of the buying market checks out for some period of time during those summer months. What happens? There is a lot of slack in the market. And in fact, every year you can see like the home price, right? Like it peaks in, May or June, and then it starts going down. July, August, September, it's usually going down. Why? Because there's that imbalance of supply and demand. The demand like slacks off during the summer, but supply stays high because people are still listing their homes like in May and June at very large numbers, but just the buyers aren't really there. The buyers have not, largely checked out, but enough of them have checked out that it creates that slack and you have longer days on market and you have a lower sale prices, generally speaking, and you have a harder time attracting a buyer and negotiating with that buyer because maybe instead of getting 3, 4, 5 offers, you only get one, and it took you like a month or 6 weeks to get that offer. And, that's a lot less of an enjoyable experience as a seller selling where you have one buyer and like, he is nickel and diming you and lowballing you versus having like 3, 4, 5 buyers. And then you're in the catbird seat. You're really driving the negotiation from a position of strength. So definitely, if you want to be listing in the spring, list in early part of the spring. And in the summer, yeah, it's fine. You can sell your home in the summer. Obviously, many people do. And, if timing wise that works out for you, then that's great. But just realize that summer is not the really hot part of the Bay Area market. Now, in Tahoe, they tell me, my colleagues up in Tahoe, they tell me that summer is the market, right? Because that's where people from the Bay Area, they go up to Tahoe in the summertime to like hang out on the lake. And there's a lot more affluent people who are up in Tahoe in the summertime. And what do? They think, oh my God, it's beautiful. I would love to have a house here. Let's buy a house and then we can, spend our ski time this winter in our new house. And so that is really a hot time for the Tahoe market, but not at all a hot time for the Bay Area market. So now we're in fall, right? So like now, okay, we're our end of August right now. The fall is right around the corner. When does the fall market start? Clearly, the fall market starts right after Labor Day weekend. This year, I believe Labor Day is actually on September 1st. I could be wrong, but that's in my mind. Like it's September 1st, the first Monday of September, and I think it's September 1st. So this year, like Labor Day comes early, and so like anytime after Labor Day weekend is a good time to go on the market. I generally recommend don't come on the market on Tuesday because a lot of people they are still coming back from vacation and maybe they like tacked on a few days after Labor Day, right, to stay longer someplace, right? So maybe not the day or the second day after Labor Day, but maybe actually like the first Monday or Tuesday after Labor Day weekend is over might be the best time to go on the market. And then we have like a 6 to 8 week period, which is the fall market. And so when I said that we usually see the highest home prices recorded in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area in May and June, sometimes we see that in September and October we will see those as the highest sale prices recorded in the year because what happens is that, again, we have a lot of buyers who come back into the market. They've been gone for June, July, August, maybe, and then they come back with a vengeance in the fall and they want to buy. They want to get into a place, before the holidays, right? So they are there, they are out in force. And then at the same time, we will see that not that many new listings are coming on to hit the market in September and October. Obviously, some are. Obviously, every day of the year, homes are listed for sale, usually, but there are fewer of them. And so, again, we have that imbalance of supply and demand again, where there is not as much supply as there was in late spring, certainly not coming onto the market as we will see in the fall, but we do have a lot more buyers who have come into the market. So if you missed the spring market and maybe you were on the market in the summertime and you were, didn't find success, when's the time to come into the market or back on the market? For me, it's the Monday or Tuesday following Labor Day weekend because that's when you're going to see a lot of buyers who are going to come back in the market. And again, oftentimes we will see September or October be the highest sale price per year. And every year is different, but if you want to get your home sold and you don't want to wait till spring, this is it. Now's the time. Like September and October are prime times to be listing your home for sale here in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area. And then after Halloween, what happens after Halloween? Well, we're looking at Thanksgiving, and then we're looking at Christmas and all the December holidays, and then, of course, New Year's. And there are a lot fewer people who are going to be out there looking for a home. So you'll find that buyers, it's not like Halloween is like a magic date, right? Oftentimes, the first couple of weeks of November can still be pretty good. But man, as we get closer to Thanksgiving holiday and certainly into December, the market certainly does wind down. Having said that, I've had some really amazing experiences selling homes in December around the holidays because, again, there's very little supply of homes for sale in the Bay Area in December. A lot of people do take their homes off the market for the holidays, and so you can be certainly very successful selling your home in November and December. It really depends, again, on what's happening with that supply and demand dynamic. So again, that's the broad strokes of the Bay Area housing market when it comes to seasonality. So as we come into September, this is the time. And if you do want to talk about getting your home ready for sale, it doesn't really take that long to get your home ready for sale to position it for having the really spectacular result that I know you're looking for when you go to sell your home. So if you want to talk about what you can do to get yourself best positioned to have maybe a record-setting price for your neighborhood this fall, by all means, give me a call. My phone number is here at the bottom of the screen. And I'd love to talk to you about your situation and how I can help you make your next move the very best one yet. All right, well, I do hope that this video has been of some value to you. And if you did, by any slim chance, enjoy watching it, I'm guessing, just to guess, that you might also enjoy watching some of these videos over here. These are some of the most popular videos here on my YouTube channel, so please do take a look. All right, that's all I have for this one. Thank you so very much for watching, and please stay tuned.